Hi, I'm Lavoie, and today we are going to paint some mountains. In painting our mountain, let's start with the most simplest mountain. So there's the bottom of our mountain. We'll go up and we'll make this a two-peak mountain. And of course, mountains all have snow on them because they're so big and they're so high up in the atmosphere. So let's just put some zigzag snows in there. And that's the simplest form of a mountain. Now let's fill in the bottom part with a brownish, like a warm gray. And this will help the snow to pop out a little bit. I'm going to just feather it down. And then in order to make that snow pop out even more is we got to paint the background with the sky. So just paint the sky in, fill it in with something. I'm just going to use blue here, and we'll just and it just pops right up. Boom. Now you can't see mountains unless you're far enough back. And the way you see that is if you stand in front of a lake and the lake's in front of a mountain, or if there's a meadow. So we're going to make this a lake. The other way you can see mountains is if you're walking down a riverbed or a road, and at the end of the road will be a mountain. But besides that, mountains are always covered up with with other mountains. So they're hard to see, so you need to stand far enough back. Now, when I think of mountains, I think of them as more like rocks. So that was our easiest way to do a mountain. Now, this way here, I'm just feeling it out, trying to see a mountain more like a couple of rocks or a blob of clay. And we're just going to put some light brown on here just to kind of bring it out a bit. Now the spaces in between, we're going to pretend that that's like the snow that's on the mountain. I think this looks pretty good. And the way you're going to see this snow a little bit better is as soon as we put in our background, that will, just instantly help it pop out. So we'll just put a little blue here and put a sky. It's a little dark. I'm going to make it a lot lighter. And it should just help the mountain pop out like instantly. Boom. So this is all it takes. And then you have your mountain. And of course, you got to put in a foreground. And because mountains are so big, you need to have, they need to be lighter. And because my mountain, I'm just showing you for illustration purposes that it's like a blob of clay or rocks or dirt. So we're going to use pure black for our foreground. Now, a really great mountain is in Banff. It's as soon as you get on the main road of Banff, boom, there it is. It's like they built the city around this mountain. The mountain is called Cascade Mountain. It's a famous mountain in Banff. It's beautiful, and during different times of day, it takes on different shapes, and it's just magnificent. It's definitely the attraction of Banff is this mountain, Cascade Mountain. So for our painting, it's a great view because you don't have a meadow, you don't have a lake, but what you have is you have downtown Banff, and you got this main road. So we're going to make the main road here, and we're just going to indicate some buildings. We're just going to rough it in. I'm thinking of making the light coming in from the morning, so that would be coming in from the east, and so we're looking north up at the mountain, and so east would be all that way. A lot of times when I do a mountain, I need to understand the mountain. So I just rough in the shape, and often I'll look for references. And if you're painting on location, it's great to just see the mountain at different times of day, and then decide your painting. Like maybe paint the painting the next day when you know what color or shape or what angle you want to paint the mountain, or what day of lighting you want it. So I'm gonna start by painting this mountain with no snow on it. And so I found this reference. There's tons, because it's Banff, there's tons of reference. You can find it online. And here you can clearly see the morning light shining on it and the way the shadows are all cast on this mountain. So we're just going to paint it like in purple. I find purple to be that kind of that neutral color, like it's a definite color, but it's neutral. Now this mountain, if you really start to study it, now here's a different time of day. So this is like in the evening, like going towards 6 o'clock in the summer, and you can kind of see it. It's kind of like a crest the mountain's like a crest mountain, and like kind of like an open end of a volcano when you see it from this time of day. So I'm just trying to show that the mountain has this crest shape, and it's not like a triangular peaky mountain. It's more of a crest shaped mountain. So we're just going to get rid of this background color, and so now I kind of see it a little bit more like this open end of a volcano. This mountain, who knows? Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm sure geologists can tell you what kind of mountain this is. What we are going to do next is flush out some of the trees and the foliage. So I've mixed a little bit of green and yellow, and I'm just painting it with a real wash on top of my purple. So wherever the purple's a little bit wet, it's blending in, and it's giving it a nice warm gray color, because green and purple kind of make a greenish gray. And we're just flushing out where there might be some vegetation in the town here. So on this boulevard, we're standing right in the middle of the road. So these are like planters, and there's a little meridian in the middle there. And now we are going to put some trees along the other side of the boulevard. And what I'm really doing is I'm trying to wash out all that white that's behind the canvas, or that is the canvas. Now, in front of Cascade Mountain is this big, it's like a big hill, a nice rolling hill, and so I'm actually painting the trees in a curved shape, so they go around the hill, and in the middle is this beautiful meadow that just kind of the highlight just catches it right. So we're going to put a darker green there, because this will shadow it up a bit, and we're going to add some of the shadow color over on this side of the rolling hill, because we want that. It feels like there's an arm laying down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to indicate a little bit, one more detail here. Like I noticed there's this little peak here, it's like a little mini mountain inside the mountain, and I'm just going to kind of draw it out a little bit. But what I really want to do is get rid of this white. So I'm just trying to get the shape of this crest-shaped mountain a little bit more. It's like a volcano. So this would be the outside of the volcano, and then there's the middle part. So this part is inside the volcano. Okay, so just darken this up a little bit more, and the way I like to paint is I like to eventually get rid of all my canvas color, and then I'm going to put my paint on top of it, and the white, instead of it being the paper or the canvas being my white, it'll be like actual paint, like white paint sitting on top. And I want my colors to sit on top of this kind of wash color. So real quick here, I'm going to quickly kind of rough in where my shadows are once again. And I'm going to use more of a purpley gray to indicate. And this is more or less, I'm now at this point where I feel like I'm painting my picture. So I'm painting in where I really feel these rocks need to be, and the shadows. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some lighter color and put in the highlights. And I'm going to put the shadow on the side of this hill here. So everything's kind of, the light's all coming from your right towards the left. I'm just going to wash out the where the buildings are going to be. And I'm just using kind of a yellow. And on top of the purple, it looks nice and brown. So this is a beautiful color. So the colors are still very clean looking. And I'm going to get to a point where they get a little bit muddy, but not too much. And I'm just going to get rid of all this white, this white canvas. So when I paint white, it'll actually look, lighter than the paper color. So you want to get rid of that. Now, go back in and re-indicate where all the shadows are again, because they kind of get washed out a bit. This is starting to look very impressionistic, and that's kind of what I want this to feel like in the beginning, is to be like an impressionistic painting, and then we're going to just sharpen it up a little bit more. So just make this green a little bit more intense. I'm using Theo green just to make that look a little bit more bluer, like an intenser blue. And where the light's hitting the trees, it's more of a yellowy green. And we are going to put in some color over where the highlights are going to be. This color is it's almost a little darker than the canvas. Like you can see the canvas underneath it. So we're just going to fill in all where it's really light here with this color, and it's kind of a warm gray. So I've just added a little bit of yellow to my purple and some white, and it's given it this nice warm gray color. And we're just going to fill in all where the highlights go, and just kind of block out more of that undercolor wash that's there. And we'll just keep adding a little bit more white into it, and it'll lighten it up a little bit more. Now I don't want to go too strong yet. I mean, we want this to feel like a big rock in the back of the town. A big, there's going to be no snow on it right now. We'll put snow later. For the like I was saying, like this is a great mountain because you're standing far enough back and you can see the mountain, and it's a beautiful backdrop to the town of Banff. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of blocking in some buildings, but I'm not painting Banff. I just want to suggest that these are buildings, and people will be able to recognize it being Banff without me having to paint, specific buildings. So we're just going to, rough in a road kind of shape, throw in where maybe windows are, so it's suggesting that these are buildings. Continuing with the darker brush, I'm basically drawing out my mountain now on top of the painting. And I'm indicating like where every rock is. I'm kind of drawing out where the clumps of trees are. And I'm going over mostly where the shadows would be with this darker color. So I'm drawing in the shadows. And then we're going to do the same with the highlights. We're going to highlight all the highlights on the sun, where the sun's hitting the mountain. So I'm just going to draw where all the rocks are on the shadow side. And that's easy to see because it's all kind of the darker purple part. I'm drawing in the direction that the rocks kind of flow too. So that will also really help give it a shape to it. We're gonna just keep putting it. It's very satisfying to do it this way, to just kind of draw in there. It's a little bit dark right now, but once we add the highlights and maybe kind of wash over it a little bit, it may soften it a bit. So I'm just going to go now over everything with the highlights, and we're just going to put the highlights in and indicate where the trees are, more intense color. This is the painting part. This is where you're just painting in your picture. You're painting over top of your washes and your sketches. I'm not going to put too much work into it. I'm just going to leave it, like an impressionistic painting. It's pretty good, actually. I like that. Now that it's dry, we are going to change our painting into a winter scene now. And I am going to give my overall painting just this kind of wash with a bluish color. It'll just kind of cool everything down. And you want these cool colors in there. Now, I'm just going to brush over everything, get rid of some of this impressionistic lines. Once again, it's like we're starting over, but we're not, because we can see where everything goes. And I'm just kind of washing over everything with this kind of a bluish color, losing a lot of this black. The black really takes away from the painting, I find. The background here, I'm going to make it a little bit more misty. Get rid of all this kind of chunky green and fill it in with kind of a soft, misty color. The sky, I'm going to warm up the sky because I need to get some warm colors in there before I start adding my snow. Now, for the snow, I like to always paint the shadow of the snow first. So for the shadow of the snow, I'm using a bluish, kind of a light blue. So it's real easy. You just paint over all your shadows of your rocks and you just put snow on top of it. And look at some of the references. See how the snow kind of falls on the mountains. There's certain valleys and dips that catch a little bit more snow than others. And in Cascade Mountain, they all kind of, it sits nicely on this mountain. So I'm just going to add the highlights now, the highlighted snow parts. And I'm just going with more of a pure white. I'm mixing a little bit of blue into it, a little bit of yellow, just to warm it up a bit. And now you just basically paint all your highlights, your rock highlights with it. And I'm just going to go in there and put a little bit more brown where there might be some rock showing through. Put a little snow on top of all your trees, and all the roofs in the buildings will have snow sitting on top as well. And I'm just going to soften things up a little bit and darken it, highlight it. And the last thing you're going to do for your winter scene is just put some intense white in there now. So I'm just really going to highlight everything nicely now. And I'm going to highlight the back there, soften it, and I'm just going to make the road with pure snow on it. Okay, that was fun. Here's my painting. I hope you enjoyed doing it, and please post your painting when you're finished. I'd love to see it.